a modern podcast where Chris and Mike talk about TV, movies, superheroes, and everything in between. It's time for Superhero Slate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name's Mike Royer.
And on today's show, we talk about the X-Men casting, Deadpool, the Powers TV show, and Marvel's Secret Wars.
But what about that fancy new intro we got for the show?
That was pretty awesome. I feel legit. You're going to hear this from every show going forward.
Oh, it's so exciting.
Yeah. I actually got that on Fiverr.
Yeah, and I didn't know what Fiverr was until you came across me. Apparently, you can get anything done for like $5 now, thanks to the internet.
Yeah, I learned that's actually from watching an episode of Tosh.0.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he paid people like $5 to do random things, and I just went on there and I was like, oh, we need a jingle. What can we do?
Yeah, so who's the guy that made it for us? It's really awesome.
Yeah, he goes by the name Adem, A-D-E-M, but you can find him on Fiverr under the name Kyle Adem, so just Kyle, K-Y-L-E, A-D-E-M. So if you guys need a jingle.
Yeah, it was great. His voice is just, it's infectious.
It really suits our sarcastic attitudes.
But yeah, we'll put a link to his profile in the show notes. He did a really great job. So
yes, big shout out to Adem. Just don't.
Yeah, sweet. So what updates do we have from the last week's show?
So last week, if you listened to last week's Superhero Slate podcast, we talked about Sony and Marvel making a deal where Spider-Man can join the Avengers. Sony has
that was all over
everywhere. People who didn't know anything were commenting on it. So Sony has reportedly denied this to be true. However, I'm still on the fence. Sony's PR, they may be like, no, that's not true. We want to officially announce something first. So who knows?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to whether it was official or not. They're going to deny it because it's so far out. It's years away. And I would think even if it was true, them and Marvel both want to keep it secret because the reveal would be insane if it was true.
That would be a San Diego Comic-Con you don't want to miss.
Yes, but as I said last week, I don't think it's going to happen. So either way, Sony has denied it.
Yep, so that's the update. But we got new news this week, believe it or not.
Yes. Let's get into the first thing. I'm ready.
Yes, so the biggest thing this week happened on Friday. So you know about X-Men, right, Mike? You've heard of the X-Men?
I think, what is it? That's like an old novel from the 1800s, right?
No, that is incorrect.
No.
Okay,
wait, no. Wasn't. Oh, no. Okay, go ahead.
You're correct. But no, seriously, they have 7 movies now. Catapulted Hugh Jackman to fame. Their next movie, coming out in 2016, called X-Men Apocalypse, has cast this big 3 people. And by the big 3, do you know who I mean, Mike?
Well, I think I have it right in front of me. It is Storm, Jean Grey, and Cyclops.
Exactly. The only 3 people, that when we think X-Men team, we think of those 3, right? So
yes.
They've cast younger versions of this. Because
which I think it makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, this movie takes place in the 80s, supposedly, right? So we're going to need younger versions of these mutants to take place of this altered timeline Fox has dreamt up. So I'm just going to tell you who they are.
All right.
So first off, we have Alexandra Shipp to be Storm. Have you heard of her?
No, I actually had to look up all these people except for Jean Grey because I had no idea who they were.
Okay, so Alexandra Shipp, she has been in the Aaliyah biopic that's come out. I haven't seen this. I've heard of it. And she starred on, I think it was Nickelodeon's House of Anubis. It might have been Disney. I don't know. I remember seeing commercials, but that was it. That's Storm. We're going to jump to Tye Sheridan for Cyclops.
Okay. That doesn't sound familiar either.
Nope. He was in a movie called Mud back in 2012.
Okay, yeah, I remember that movie. I didn't see it, but I do remember it. That's Matthew McConaughey was in it, right?
It is. It is a Matthew McConaughey, and he was in Mud before they paid him to be in Mud. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, Tye Sheridan's in Mud. And next up, this is probably the most known character. Sophie Turner is Jean Grey. Mm-hmm. And what do you know her from?
Game of Thrones, baby. That's going to be big. I think it makes sense to bring someone in with a little bit of star power. I'll be curious to see what she sounds like without an accent, because who knows? I don't think I've ever seen like an interview with her or anything. So there's a good chance maybe this accent isn't real. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where does she hail from? Do we know?
I don't know. But for those who don't, she's Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones. So the redheaded girl, kind of a bitch, honestly. I've started watching the show recently, and in the first few episodes, she's just a brat.
Yeah, she's a brat in the first season, but I'm looking at here. It looks like she actually is from England, so it looks like she's going to have to break an accent to play Jean Grey. But yeah, I think that's cool. And as for the other two, I'm always okay with casting unknowns. Like it never really makes me nervous, just because if they're totally unknown, I feel like they have to just be exceptionally good for a production or a studio to take a chance on them. Like, usually you're not taking much of a chance with someone that because the last movie they did, they made this much money, so if we put them in the movie, there's a good chance we'll sell this many tickets. So I think these two that are playing Storm and Cyclops, I don't know them. I don't know if other people do or not, but they seem pretty unknown. So I'll look forward to it. We'll see what it's like.
Definitely, and I think one of the good things with unknowns is they're malleable. Like they can shape them how they need to be. We have no preconceived notions. They have no preconceived notions of acting or other parts. So I think it'll be interesting. And with X-Men going forward after this, undoubtedly, we should expect to see them star in the next 2 X-Men movies afterwards.
Yeah, and I kind of look at it this way. They're casting this younger audience, and this is the way I think about it. It's like when you go to the grocery store, like at the beginning of the week, and you're going to want some bananas. By the end of the week, you get some greener bananas. You want to let them ripen a little bit. So I look at it as like they're getting some younger actors that they can like hold on to for a couple years, get a couple movies out of them before they get too old.
Oh yeah, that's smart.
They're bananas. I'm calling these people bananas.
Oh my gosh, the shit is bananas.
I often compare people to fruit, I guess.
Well, I mean, you are a fruity guy, Mike.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So you threw some news at me earlier this week. Can you just give me what you saw?
Oh yeah. Well, it looks like Gregg has opened up on the future of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he is saying they're going to start tying in the Inhumans before we see them in their own movie.
Now, I love Clark Gregg. For those who aren't familiar, he's played Agent Coulson since Iron Man 1. So he's been in the Marvel Universe just as long as Robert Downey Jr. has. And in more movies, I think. He is phenomenal as Agent Coulson / Director Coulson in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I am glad they're leading the Inhumans charge on that show.
I think this is pretty cool that we kind of get an official announcement. I know some people were speculating with that mid-season finale of S.H.I.E.L.D., like, oh, are those characters going to be tying in with the Inhumans? Who exactly are they? And I think it was right to have some doubt to introduce a whole new movie in a TV show before it even becomes a movie. So I think this is pretty big. It really shows you how much ABC and Marvel trust S.H.I.E.L.D., that they think that S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be around for the long haul to carry these Inhumans to, what is it, 2018. 2018. Yeah, so that's 3 more years. They're confident that S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be going that much longer to keep these Inhumans around. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, well, what's really cool is we've introduced the Inhumans were created by the Kree, which we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Wait, let's elaborate because I think most people out there listening have no idea what an Inhuman is, but I think we should go ahead and bring them out. Let's see
I'm going to lay it on
people.
them.
Yeah, let's get caught up. Let's get people in the know before these movies even get their first screenshot leaked.
Okay, so just to give you a heads up, Inhumans probably my first favorite group of people in the Marvel Universe. I've loved them for a very long time. I've followed them for a very long time. I have the original comic book, Fantastic Four number 45 from 1965 when the Inhumans first appeared.
Oh, and where'd you pick that one up at?
A comic book store in Michigan for $20.
That is a score.
Big shout out to my fellow Comic UI guy Brian for catching it, like seeing it for me.
Oh man.
So
that's gonna be big. That's gonna start going up in value for sure.
Well, I'm gonna have Stan Lee sign it this year at C2E2, so I think it's gonna be really, really priceless eventually.
Ooh, you should get that. You should get that graded.
It's not gonna
CGC graded.
It's not gonna be a high grade. It's a rough copy, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
So I love the Inhumans. So I'm very, very well versed. So the Inhumans are a group of humans that were experimented on by the Kree thousands of years ago.
Okay.
The Kree are the blue aliens. Ronan the Accuser in Guardians of the Galaxy is a Kree.
Mm-hmm.
So they came to Earth thousands of years ago, experimented on humans, and left these Inhumans there. Now, Inhumans are like normal people. They look like us, they talk like us, but they have this dormant gene set within them, kind of like a mutant.
Okay. Yeah, so, I can see that.
Yeah, so when they get exposed to this crystal called the Terrigen crystals, which we saw in S.H.I.E.L.D., their powers emerge. And each Inhuman has a different power set.
Okay. So this crystal is what we saw in that mid-season finale of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
And so that crystal will... I think if I remember right, that crystal kills you if you're not an Inhuman, basically.
Incorrect. That's a misconception. The crystal was in a container, and that container protected the crystal, so only Inhumans could open the container.
Okay.
So that was pretty. I think it was poorly explained, but I think they're going to come back and re-explain that.
Okay.
So if you touch the container and you weren't Inhuman, you would be destroyed. But if the Terrigen crystal releases a mist, which we kind of saw take the room over, it didn't affect anybody but the Inhumans. Regular people aren't affected by it.
Oh, okay.
So, so that's how you get these powers. So in 2018, we're going to see an entire civilization of Inhumans come to life.
Okay.
And we've got our first Inhumans in the show in the form of Skye/Daisy Johnson, who has earthquake abilities, and I believe Reyna, the evil girl on there, got some abilities, but we don't know who she is yet. She kind of ran off in the dark.
Yeah, she kind of had I believe if I remember right, she had some sort of scales or something going on.
It was kind of like some hair, some like feline cat hair spikes. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I've said this on the show before. S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't exactly my cup of tea right now. But I think adding in some of these more fantastical, powers, I think that'll bring some of the better parts out of the show for me.
Definitely, and we've seen S.H.I.E.L.D. got really good in season 1 when it tied into the Winter Soldier, right? And now that it's tied into future Marvel movies ahead of time, that may up the ante in the show and probably make a lot more people fall for it.
Yeah, so I think this is just going to be really interesting how they end up tying this in. Because, I mean, this is, if you think about it, this is 3 seasons away from becoming a movie out of the S.H.I.E.L.D. universe. So are the Inhumans going to pop up maybe for the second half of the season and then go away and they'll move on to something else? How exactly are we setting them up? Because, I mean, if one of the main characters, Skye, is going to be permanently an Inhuman, is there a chance that we might be connecting actors from the TV series and be moving them into the movies? Are we going to see this character in the Inhumans movie? I
would love to see. I've always speculated that Coulson would be the catalyst for the Inhumans movie. Because we don't know the Inhumans, right? It's another gamble like Guardians. We didn't know any of them going in. So tying this to the show, Coulson can star in this movie or be a part of this film, and we will have sort of relation to the characters. And I think that's a smart move on Marvel, something we've never seen before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's kind of it's almost kind of the creative way to get mutants but not have to pay for the rights of them. It's kind of the same explanation. I remember seeing an interview where Kevin Smith was interviewing Stan Lee, and he kind of was asking him about like the mutants and the different types of heroes, and Stan Lee was just like, I basically created these mutants because I was getting tired of finding out ways to give people powers. It's like, it would be better if people were just born with them and I didn't have to explain it. So yeah, this is kind of a way to just throw in a bunch of superpowered people into a universe, and really you only have to explain it by aliens, and they've already been introduced in Guardians, so it's more believable now. You don't have to put so much work into it.
Yeah, I think that's an oversimplification as well, because the Inhumans are a royal family. And we've not really seen any like royalty in the Marvel universe either, and I think that's going to add a new twist to it. Because the Inhumans are led by their king Black Bolt and his wife Medusa. I'm a huge Black Bolt fan. I have so many Black Bolt pieces of work laying around. Like, I could look beside me and there's probably like 6 or 7. He's one of my favorite characters, and I think again adding like you said, they're born with these abilities. That's awesome. That's going to be easy. But like adding that twist that there's a hierarchy of Inhumans and / mutant type people is going to be very cool, and I just can't wait for it. I just can't.
Yeah, I think it'll be awesome. So let's just see how we jump from TV to movies. I think this will be an interesting experiment.
Yeah, count me in.
Yeah.
So next up, something a little sooner, Deadpool, another Fox property. Yeah. He started the movie as actually coming out. It comes out February 12th, 2016. So we're almost a year away. And you know what that means?
Yes. It's going to be amazing. That's what it means.
It is going to be amazing. I'm pretty sure it's R-rated. It's going to start filming next month, March 2015.
Now, how are you so sure that it's going to be rated R?
Deadpool is I'm pretty sure it's going to be R, because they released a lot of R-rated movies on Valentine's Day, like in February. If we look at Kingsman, The Secret Service, that's an R-rated film coming out next month. It just seems to be a trend of R-rated films in February. Now, yeah, go ahead.
I think that's a pretty decent theory, one I actually haven't heard yet, because I think from just the view of making money, most studios would go ahead and assume we're shooting for that PG-13 rating, especially with a superhero movie. So I think that really puts the rated R on shaky ground, because, I mean, Deadpool is a very vicious character when it comes to the sadistic things he does. I mean, he has dead in his name. He's going to kill lots of things. So it kind of makes you wonder, are they going to be able to pull off an R rating? But that's the first time I've heard February being filled with R releases, and that's true. And if you think about it, when have we had any of these new generation of superhero movies come out in February, which sometimes is a dumping ground for movies?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see if they can pull off that PG-13, but I think out of violence and maybe mild language alone, it's going to be very, very hard. But I think having that February release, Deadpool has a huge following. Ryan Reynolds is a big star, right? They're not. I don't really think they're going to market this to kids and families. This is going to be for the guys. This is going to be a guys movie, kind of like Taken or The Expendables, but for comic book people.
I mean, it'll be really cool. It might be the first time that we will see a property or a character that is really fleshed out in a rated R movie, and he might appear later on in other X-Men movies, as, a PG-13 version of Deadpool and, a PG-13 X-Men down the line, or X-Force or any sort of variation they want to make. So I think that would be curious to see if that happens. But I think what's more interesting about all of this stuff is that we really have this character, that's going to be brand new, and he's going to be brought into this universe where we're not too sure where the timeline's going to be. When Apocalypse is in the 80s, are we going to see an 80s Deadpool movie then?
I really doubt it. I think it's going to be more modern times. I think Age of Apocalypse will kind of show where that future's heading. But this is kind of, I think it's going to be more standalone than tied into the X-Men universe. But if they do pull it off into the X-Men universe, that's going to be fantastic. But I see it as more of a standalone film.
Well, I mean, I definitely see it as standalone, but I think it would be cool, if we got some Deadpool in the 80s. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he is a character that, ages comparable to Wolverine, so it would make sense to, you could really stick in whatever time frame you want. So it'll be weird. I mean, I guess they could always set it up to be like, him in the future, and then the X-Men movies just kind of catch up to him. So whenever he crosses over with this mainline universe, it's in the future where he actually is. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I think this is super cool. We got the official announcement a little while ago, but now it really feels real. We know that people are starting to get paid, money's moving forward. It's just really exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good kickoff to the superhero films of 2016, and Lord knows there's a billion of them.
Oh, yeah. Next year, can't wait.
Yeah. So, on to something else that, I'm surprised is getting made is Suicide Squad, right? A name like that, I don't know how a name like that hasn't caused controversy yet in the rounds, just because, people get upset about the stupidest things. As you said, they get butthurt about whatever and anything.
Yeah.
Apparently Jake Gyllenhaal passed on the role of Rick Flag, which was originally Tom Hardy, and he dropped out. So,
yeah.
I don't know where that's going to go yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably passed for one of two reasons. Either he passed because you should have asked me first. Now you kind of hurt my feelings that you come to me after. I'm your back. Maybe he just doesn't want to be the backup guy. He doesn't want to be the rebound. He might have hurt his feelings. Or possibly, maybe he just doesn't want to be in a superhero movie. Maybe he's trying to position himself to a little bit more drama. I mean, I haven't seen Nightcrawler yet. That came out last year, but I heard so many people get angry that it was snubbed for Best Picture nomination.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I think maybe if he does want to do a superhero, I think he has the chops to do a leading role rather than a team movie.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he thinks he deserves more.
Yeah. So just a quick note on that. So I just wanted to throw that in there before.
So that's just kind of up in the air. I think the Suicide Squad is going to be great. So hopefully they'll lock someone in there soon so I can start getting excited.
Filming's in April. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
So it brings me to something else. Have you ever seen the Pop-vinyls before?
Yeah, they're the little characters with the little square heads, right?
Yeah, they're kind of not really. They're rounded squares, but yeah. They come in bobbleheads and just regular figures. I have I think 3 out on our shelves right now.
I think I have a Daryl Dixon one, and I have a little smaller Spider-Man one that actually has a bobbly head. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, I got a couple Star-Lords. They're pretty awesome. But they showed off the Age of Ultron ones this week for the first time.
Oh yeah, so this is kind of the time of the year before stuff comes out where we start to see the merchandise.
Yes, merchandise. That's going to be the game of the game with Age of Ultron. And that's where we're probably going to see some of the best looks of the characters so far. Out of the Pop-vinyls, I saw a gray Hulk with red eyes leading into that trailer we saw last week.
Yeah.
So it kind of played off that, so that's cool. My favorite one so far is the Hulkbuster.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. That was cool.
Hulkbuster is going to be sweet, but I think there's they showed the Vision finally. The Vision's going to show up on a lot of stuff, and he's very purpley, believe it or not.
Oh, that's pretty funny. We've seen the Vision in literally everything but a trailer. Didn't we get some official promo shots, and we've seen some toys, and I think he was on a poster from Asia months ago.
Yeah, and right now I saw today there's some the theater merchandise, the cups and the stuff you get at theaters when you go watch the movie. He's all over that stuff too.
Yeah.
But not in the footage.
It kind of makes you wonder, what it must be like to be someone that doesn't follow superhero stuff as much as we do. They just have literally no idea that Vision's going to be in this movie. They're just like, there's this new Avengers movie coming out. I saw some people in it. I don't know. There's a robot. And then they're going to either get another trailer at possibly the Super Bowl, or they're just going to show up in the theater and be like, what's this guy? What is he doing? Apparently his name is Vision.
Yeah, I think they'll do a great job introducing him. But I think, seeing him in all the merchandise is going to leave people wondering. I think I'm going to kind of liken it back to Winter Soldier. All the merchandise showed the Winter Soldier, right? And if you read the comics, you knew it was Bucky.
Yeah.
But the images all had eyeliner around him, so you couldn't really tell who he was, and the long hair. But when you watch the movie, that same shot didn't have the eyeliner, so they added that all in for the marketing to leave the casual moviegoer up in the air, which I thought was really nifty. Like, they didn't want to ruin it for him.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, if we're getting a gray Hulk, I really don't think we're going to see a gray Hulk in the movie.
That one's going to be up in the air. He was definitely green in the trailers with the red eyes, so I think it's just merchandise, like you said, another way to make some money.
Yeah, so I think this is just another question that we all have is, when do we get to see the Vision already? I've seen him in a toy. I've seen him with a square little bobbly head. I don't know.
Super Bowl's next week. Stay tuned for our Super Bowl show, where we're gonna break down the trailers. Every trailer we see, we're gonna talk about it.
Oh yeah, even if it's tangentially related to comics.
Yeah, it's a movie, so we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, we'll probably be getting a Jurassic Park trailer, and I'm sure at some point in time Jurassic Park has been a comic book, so I think that qualifies under our blanket of things we can talk about.
Yeah, Jurassic World, definitely. They had Jurassic Park comics. I actually have a couple of those.
Yeah, you would.
I do. So yeah, that's it. Next up, Powers TV show. I think we talked about this. Didn't you like my Facebook post on this?
I probably did. I pretty much like everything you put up there because it's all informative.
Yeah. So Powers, have you heard of it?
I have gotten very little bits of information. The only thing I know off the top of my head is I think sometime last year, maybe during E3 or something, I don't know, Sony was just announcing, I think maybe original content, I don't know, but they mentioned something about a Powers TV show, and I was so out of the loop, I wasn't sure if this was just like an original property, like they were just making up superheroes off the top of their head, or if it existed in something. But then I think somewhere down the line, somehow Michael Brian Bendis is involved, he's super famous for basically the architect of the Marvel Ultimate Universe and other things before that. But basically, I don't know anything about this.
Okay, yeah. So just to clarify, it's Brian Michael Bendis. So
what did I say?
Michael Brian Bendis.
Oh, dang it!
It's all right. Close enough. I will give you points for that. So yeah. He's known for his Ultimate Spider-Man run and some other stuff in the Ultimate Universe. But he has a lot of original content he does, and he writes for. And Powers is one of them. It started early 2000s, and it's kind of been going on. It evolved into Powers Bureau, and then now with the TV show coming out by Sony, you were correct. They're coming out with another number one. So the idea of it is that there's a world with superheroes in it, right? How do you police the superheroes? So this Powers Bureau is about the people, the police who police the powers. Like, because there's going to be crimes and stuff that not all superheroes deal with that involve superheroes.
Okay. Yeah, so it kind of seems a little kind of S.H.I.E.L.D. related a little bit, like normal people dealing with the superhero problems.
A little bit. I think we can owe the success of S.H.I.E.L.D. to why Powers has started off. And it's starring Charlton Copley. We know from District 9, Elysium, the A-Team even. And I think it's going to be awesome. You have to be a PlayStation Plus member to watch them, all 10 episodes. Which debut March 10th, and I'm going to find a way to watch this. I don't care. It's not going to stop me. I'm going to find a way to watch this show, all 10 episodes, because I want to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I think honestly this speaks more to the fledgling cable industry. I mean, when did you ever think you were going to see an original series based on a comic book premiering on your console? I mean, that's crazy. Like, they have like so many people that they can reach through a video game console, they're like, oh, we can start making TV shows. I think that's insane.
Yeah, and it comes back to the Netflix Marvel deal, which is our actually next topic. You turn into Netflix to watch all new season of Daredevil, or a whole new series of Defenders, which is street level Avengers. So I mean, you're right. It's a new age where we can catch new content on our video game systems.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be pretty cool. I like seeing things outside of the Marvel and DC universe get recognition. I think the majority of the stuff that I'm reading right now is actually outside of the major two, from Image. So I think this is really cool. I want to see this other stuff come together, and I love Bendis. He's just amazing. So I can't wait to see him come to the screen, basically.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be great to see this show. I agree. So we'll tell you how that comes in March.
Oh, yeah. So that's soon.
Yep, less than 2 months.
Oh, awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah. So next up, like I promised, is Netflix and Marvel's TV shows. They gave Daredevil a new description this week for their Daredevil show that comes out in April.
Oh, so we finally got something kind of more official.
Yeah, it's going to read. It's pretty much a good log line of the show or a synopsis. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. That's okay. Is that all right?
All right, go ahead.
Let me throw on my reader voice here.
All right.
Marvel's Daredevil follows the incredible journey of Matt Murdock, the man without fear. Blinded in a tragic accident as a boy and imbued with extraordinary senses, Murdock has a mission to clean up his gritty city. He sets up practice in his old neighborhood of Hell's Kitchen, New York, where he fights against injustice as a respected lawyer by day and masked vigilante at night.
Ooh. Juicy.
Yeah, so there's two things I want to walk away. I want you to walk away from this. Number one, it sounds a lot like the Daredevil movie from 2003. And that's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad at all, but it sounds a lot like it, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Secondly, I had this speculation in my head that Matt Murdock and all these street level Avengers, like the Defenders, Jessica Jones, Power Man, Iron Fist, were all going to be resulted from the Chitauri invasion in the Avengers, right? So that changed the world as we know it in the Marvel Universe. But this confirms he got his powers as a boy. So it doesn't relate to the Chitauri invasion, which means he's had powers for a while, and they get to explore that backstory behind that. And I'm really excited for some backstory.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing I pick up on this is it says he sets up practices in his old neighborhood. That kind of is saying that, maybe he's moving back to Hell's Kitchen, which I think from most of the lore of Daredevil, he's been there like his entire life. So I don't know, maybe we'll get a little bit of a storyline of maybe he's returning to Hell's Kitchen. Maybe he was in like a bigger downtown Manhattan area and he's returning to kind of help his old city.
Yeah, right. Currently he's actually in San Francisco in the comics. He just moved to San Francisco in the comics.
All right.
So, that's a California throw out to you. So, are you ready for Daredevil?
Yeah, I'm always ready for Daredevil.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Anytime, any day.
Yeah, well, we'll keep an eye out for it. We know Daredevil won't.
Yeah, we're getting a little closer to April.
Yep. So, I want to break it down to something a little more comic book related, but could come back to the television universe / movie universe. So
yeah.
You probably read a lot this week about Marvel doing a reboot of their comic books, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I've been hearing about this, I almost feel like for possibly 2 years. I mean, every summer they usually put on a big event in their 616 universe, and I haven't been keeping up too much with these mainline events, but everything I've been reading from just little bits of news articles is something's coming to an end, or just the universe, time is ending, something with time travel, or universe is ending. I don't know. It just seems like it's culminating to something pretty big.
Yeah. So what they have is Marvel's coming out with Secret Wars this summer. Now, you may be like, well, Marvel already did Secret Wars. And you're right.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, I know.
Chris, they already did Secret Wars. I got the comic on my bookshelf. They can't be doing it again.
Well, okay, Mike. Well, they are. So
okay.
Yeah. So Secret Wars was a 1985 series, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first comic book event, meaning the events as we know them, where every character came together, started in Secret Wars.
Yeah, and I believe this first event was created just to sell toys.
It was all a merchandising ploy, back to merchandising. So it definitely set the status for where we are today. But they're coming back with Secret Wars this summer, written by Jonathan Hickman. Now, Jonathan Hickman I've said this, is my favorite writer in Marvel / not Marvel right now.
Yeah.
He's been writing Avengers / New Avengers since 2012. And from issue 1, he's been setting up for this event. So it's not like, they just decided to do it like one day. Jonathan Hickman has been working towards this. But if you go back even farther, he wrote Fantastic Four from 2009 and 2012. The seeds for this are even planted in there. He's been planning this out for a very long time.
Oh, man, this should be really awesome then.
Yeah, so essentially what happens is all the universes in Marvel are collapsing together. They're crashing together. So that's when you see the thing time runs out from Marvel. That's what it means. Like the time for these universes is running out. There's no time travel involved. It just means all the universes are crashing together, and that spells trouble because we've seen multiple Marvel universes over the years. The two current ones are 616, which is the regular comics line, and Ultimate Marvel, which is my favorite universe.
Yeah, but Ultimate is basically just boils down to Ultimate Spider-Man now.
Yeah, pretty much. And even that's supposed to end, quote unquote, this summer with issue 12. So these are all coming together, and there was a press event with Axel Alonso and Tom Brevoort, big head honchos at Marvel this week, and they announced that the 616 and the Ultimate universes are combining together in this event.
Oh, that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, so we're going to see different Iron Mans, different versions of Captain America, different Spider-Mans. We talked about Miles Morales last week, right? He's the Ultimate Spider-Man, and he will come face-to-face with Peter Parker again in this. And this all come together, and it's going to be a big explodey event, and people are going to have to fight it out on this thing called Battle World. All right? Battle World is built from all the other universes Marvel has ever made. So I don't know if you're familiar with Old Man Logan.
Oh yeah,
Old Man Logan. That's a different universe. We have Marvel 2099 will be there. Marvel 1602, which is by Neil Gaiman. That's going to be in there as well.
That's the more like noir series, isn't it?
Well, there's Marvel Noir as well. That will be in there. So all these different series that we've seen and heard of over the years are combining together to Battle World, where they're gonna have to fight it out and see who wins.
Oh man, this is gonna be crazy. That means we're gonna be seeing like Captain America's dying. We're gonna be seeing like noir Spider-Man probably eating it. We're gonna see probably a couple different Hulks fighting each other.
Oh yeah.
It makes you wonder when all is said and done, when we kind of have one cohesive universe left over. Are we going to have duplicates left over? Are there just going to be like two Iron Mans just hanging out in the main universe now?
It's gonna be hard to tell. Like I could see two Spider-Man with Miles being the Ultimate Spider-Man and regular Spider-Man Peter Parker still swinging around, but we just don't know at this point. It's too vague, but I'm really excited to read it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a big way to clean house.
That's one way to take it, but I just don't think there's enough house to clean. If they only have two universes currently going, there's really not a lot. They're actually just bringing all these other ones in, I think, for fan service and just to use these characters again.
Yeah, because those aren't really ongoing things anyway. So
yeah. Noir was very short-lived. It was awesome, but it was short-lived. 1602 was only 3 books. Old Man Logan was like 5 issues of Wolverine once.
Yeah, that was just like one trade.
Yeah, they're really, some are really small, some are really big. They're bringing in like a Civil War timeline into this, a World War Hulk timeline. Like different parts are going to be combined together, and it's going to be awesome. And I think that's going to set something up that we could possibly see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe years down the line. because what happens, when we're out of Tony Stark as Robert Downey Jr., right? He doesn't want to be it anymore. Well, what do? Maybe another universe Tony Stark steps in.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, if you think about it, I believe you've said this to me before, people kind of need to think of the Marvel cinematic movies as its own universe, and they do call it the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, if you ever get mad or you get upset because they're not doing something right, or, possibly the Mandarin just ends up being an actor and a goofy guy, like, you just got to remember this is another universe. This is just like if Marvel decided to start writing books on another universal timeline and they just changed the way the Mandarin was. So I think it would be kind of cool. Maybe during the Secret War event, maybe we get the movie universe tying in. That would be kind of crazy.
Definitely. Actually, each Marvel universe has a numerical designation. So we've heard Marvel's 616. Ultimate Universe is not 1602. I thought it was 1610 is what the Ultimate Universe is. The movie universe is actually 199,999. So along all these other comic book universes, the cartoon universes even have numbers. Like, you ever seen Spider-Man back in the 90s? That's a universe number.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know he had his own universe.
Yeah. Each iteration is essentially another universe. So the 199,909 is a universe. So we could see them show up in Battleworld.
Oh, that would be cool. Like, even if it's not a big part, it'd be funny to see someone drawn kind of like as Mark Ruffalo just hulking out. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, I think it'd be awesome if Samuel L. Jackson met the Nick Fury of Ultimate Universe, which he's already based on.
Oh, yeah, that would be funny. And that just seems like a perfect way to sell a comic book.
Oh, and merchandising again. I think this is the first time since the original Secret Wars where merchandise is coming out at the same time the comic series is. Which brings me to a list. I heard Upper Deck was involved. As you know, Upper Deck does card games and cards and stuff like that. Me and Mike here have a history of playing a game called Legendary.
Ooh, this game is fun.
It's a Marvel deck building game. I'm actually sitting next to all the expansions, like right beside me. I'm touching them right now.
Wait. This is a radio show. Touch them a little harder so we can hear it.
Oh, yeah, I'm touching them. There we go.
There they are.
So Legendary, they come out with expansions. They have an expansion next month coming out called Fear Itself, based on the comic books series event of the same name. But their Upper Deck is mentioned as a partner for Secret Wars. So I'm hoping this summer to see a Legendary expansion based on Secret Wars.
Oh, yeah. And if you guys aren't too familiar with deck building games, it's basically like playing something along the lines of maybe like Magic the Gathering or like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! If that game still exists. But you get all the cards from one box. You don't have to go out and buy like little packs and build a deck. You build the deck while you're playing the game. I mean, I've played this game before with people who have never read a single comic book in their entire life, and that person actually ended up winning the very first game. So it's actually really fun. It's really in depth, and I think the first time we played it like for hours, like at least 5 or 6 hours.
We did. We played it like 4 times the first day, and there's so many characters. I think there's upwards of 50 characters now, and even including villains, maybe even more. And there's just so many different ways you can play the game.
Oh yeah, but I think this will be really cool. You should go out and buy Legendary. It's awesome.
Yeah, if not, at least go look it up online and watch people play it. I think you'll fall in love. All the cards you need are in the box, like Mike said. That's the best thing about it.
Yeah, I wasted a lot of money as a kid when I was like in middle school and elementary school with Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading cards. Oh, I can't even imagine the amount of money I dropped on trying to play that freaking game.
It's just better not to think about it.
I think, man, I mean, I don't need them anymore, but I kind of wish I had them still around so I could just have some nostalgia and browse through them.
I'm gonna be frank. I have Pokemon cards in my living room right now.
Oh, man, I was always told as a kid that game is really hard to play, so I never bothered to learn.
Yeah. Oh well. So, that's I didn't want to get too far off our main topics of movie or TVs, but however, Secret Wars could tie into the cinematic universe, and I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I think that's cool. And yeah, people, if you're gonna get mad, just remember it's a universe. It doesn't have to do exactly everything the comic books are doing.
Thank you, Mike, for saying that. I appreciate that. So that's really all the news we got for today.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a light week. It just didn't have any like huge trailer announcements or anything like that.
Yeah, nothing really to break down or read into as much as the other shows.
Mm-hmm. But it gives us a chance to talk about like board games and card games and stuff like that. So I'm not too mad.
Well, what it really does is give us 15 extra minutes to talk about things that we want to talk about.
Yeah, so I think we should call this little last segment, well, I was going to call it What Grinds Our Gears, which isn't exactly original, but your What Steams Our Broccoli is probably the best one. You came up with that. That was hilarious.
That's right. We're going to talk about what steams our broccoli today on Superhero Slate.
All right, Chris. Tell me what's steaming your broccoli, brah.
All right, so it's a slow news week. All right, we didn't really even get that big X-Men announcement until Friday, so everything else has been like yeah this, yeah that. So in the meantime, how do websites keep up? They post clickbait, and I hate clickbait more than anything. I can't believe they did this. Number 4 just really pisses me off, or something like that.
You won't believe what happens next.
Yeah. This sucks, but what really, really, really steams my broccoli are fan trailers. I'm going to be frank. Like, I appreciate people who know how to edit movies because my background's in film. But if you're like people who make fan trailers, I just think they don't put enough effort into it. They take, here's the action scenes from this, and this movie, and I'm going to throw it together. And it's, since they're all part of these characters, that means they're all in a movie, right? No. Just because you know how to edit footage in like Windows Movie Maker or iMovie doesn't mean you should. Like that's how I see it.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to they're not intentionally trying to, but they know like half the clicks they're getting are people that are extremely hopeful for like, oh my god, this is like the next Iron Man trailer. This is like the Iron Man 4 trailer, and it's like, wait a minute. This isn't the next Iron Man trailer. And then you automatically look at the dislike bar, and it's like just astronomically high on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. And it's just the magic of movie trailers is that, you're trying to tell a story, a cohesive story. You're not selling all your action bits in the trailer. Like, cut that shit out. You're reusing the same scenes and clips we've heard a million times, so we know it's not new.
Yeah, I think the only real fan trailers I've ever liked are the ones that are kind of more of a collection of like an entire trilogy or something. So it's not even necessarily a trailer. It's kind of more like, hey, let's take a look back on the whole Star Wars universe. Here's a giant trailer for all these movies that already exist. So that's a little different because they're not trying to pull the wool over your eyes or anything like that.
Yeah, I've only seen one fan trailer I've truly enjoyed, and that was I think 2 months ago. And I sent it to you, and you're like, I hate fan trailers. And I'm like, I know, I hate them too. So what this one was, it was merging the DC and Marvel universe, all the characters into one movie. But not only did it tell a good story, they actually doctored some of the clips to make it look like one person's actions affected the other one.
Yeah, so there was effort put into it at least.
Yeah, they took time, they took effort, they made sure it synced up. It wasn't just like, oh, I like this clip, let's put it here. Oh, I like this clip, let's put it there. And I don't know. I just hate fan trailers, and I won't click on them. So stop making them. That's really what I'm getting down to.
Yeah, well, that sounds like it's steaming your broccoli.
It really is. So what steams your broccoli, Mike?
All right, what's steaming my vegetables is people out there who desperately want Marvel Studios to own every single property they've ever made. First of all, let's not forget that Marvel might be totally bankrupt and just decrepit now if they didn't start selling off like Spider-Man and these properties back in the day. Like, people don't realize Marvel used to be like poor. They used to not have any money.
Let's take this second to plug our article, The History of Marvel Studios.
Oh yeah, we
because they can learn about that from us.
Oh yeah, in part 1 we kind of talk about the Marvel starting out and not having money, and I think it goes into part 2 a little bit.
Part 2 ends with a bankrupt Marvel.
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, let's all appreciate that these studios even bought these properties so that Marvel could continue on living. But look at it this way: if Marvel Studios had all of these properties, we wouldn't be getting an Inhumans movie probably. I don't think for a second we'd be getting like a Black Panther movie. Like, it has forced them to like go into to line up a little bit deeper and pull up these characters that, you know, we might never get a movie. Like an Ant-Man movie? Really? Guy's called Ant-Man. It doesn't exactly look that good on a billboard. So I think people just need to just chill out. You know, maybe in the future they'll get their properties back. But I mean, I think Fox has made some good X-Men movies and made some duds, but Days of Future Past was really awesome. You know, maybe Age of Apocalypse is going to be like super cool. Maybe that's something we never see Marvel make. Obviously, I don't want Sony to have Spider-Man anymore because they're not doing a very good job. But we've gotten some good bits from other studios, and I don't think we should be so mad that Marvel Studios doesn't own everything, because they can't manage it all. I mean, they would probably have to make like a whole another studio or something to handle all these movies. So I think it's good. Go ahead.
No, to be frank, I agree with you. I'm gonna say, Marvel can't bankroll all these projects. I mean, they have the money, they could, but we're gonna suffer from it. Trying to tell all these stories and intertwine, that might take their eye off the ball. Now, I could see collaborations with studios. Like Fox and Marvel being like, yeah, okay, we're buddies now. Let's work together and not against each other. But I don't want X-Men to go back to Marvel. I don't want Fantastic Four to go back to Marvel. Spider-Man is more of a recent thing. Like, yeah, I was okay with Sony doing Spider-Man until they messed that up royally.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Mike.
Yeah, and look at it this way. Maybe if Marvel did have all these properties, maybe they would be stretching themselves too thin now, and maybe Marvel would be putting out some movies that aren't so good. So I think it's cool. Maybe we never would have got this whole universe if Marvel Studios knew it could just pump out some Spider-Man movies and get some dough. So I think it really made them do some creative thinking. So that's what steams my broccoli. That's what steams my pork buns. Don't be so angry. Be happy with what you got. We're getting good stuff.
Yeah, I think people who say, "Oh, give it back to Marvel, give it back to Marvel, give it back to Marvel," they don't really think it through. Like, Marvel does good, but think about the big picture. Don't think about the individual things for the moment.
Yeah, so chill out, people.
Yeah, God. Stop getting so butthurt.
All right. Well, I think what we decided to end the show with is, before we start plugging all of our stuff and the website and everything, and telling all you people to subscribe and rate us in iTunes, we're just gonna talk about real quick what we're reading or maybe what we're watching before we end the show, since that kind of fluctuates more than anything else. So, Chris, what are you reading or watching this week?
Well, this week I have Agent Carter returning on Tuesday. I'm really excited about that. And I'm trying to finish True Detective. I have 2 episodes left of True Detective, and
oh my god,
it's so good.
Yeah, you told me earlier last week that you watched the raid scene in the neighborhood where they were doing that tracking shot through all the houses. That is basically the coolest freaking part of the show. But those last 2 episodes are really awesome. I freaking love that show.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to get through that. I've got some Game of Thrones watching I need to do since I've never watched beyond season 1. So I'm gonna try to start season 2 this week. I'm gonna have to drag myself through it. I'm not a huge fan, to be frank. And that's what I'm trying to watch. What I want to read this week, I've got a new Avengers coming out by Jonathan Hickman. Talked about that. And that's really about all I got going on this week, media-wise. Right. What's up on your plate?
All right, so last week, Flash and Arrow just came back from their mid-season breaks. I think we're going to talk about these shows in depth during their season finales. So I'll save all the good chunks for those shows until that happens. So I'm super excited that those are back on a weekly basis. You guys definitely need to be catching up on the last season of Parks and Rec. They freaking moved the show from Thursday to Tuesday. It's the last season, and they're airing 2 episodes every week. They're just pushing this thing out the door, which is such a shame because the show is hilarious. It's a gold mine. It's created like half of the internet memes on the internet right now with Ron Swanson. So you guys definitely need to be watching that. And as for reading, I have this super amazing art book. It's an art book from the show Adventure Time, which I would hope everyone's familiar with now. This show is like a blockbuster when it comes to cartoons. But it's this super awesome, like 350-page, like super like long style, like this horizontal-ish type book. It's huge. It's full of like sketchbooks of the artists on the show. It's got all this information of how the show started. It's so awesome. It's got all these like little tidbits and notes in it, and it's super cool. I'm gonna be reading that for probably a while because I go through it so slow. Like every page there's like all this art on it. It takes me forever to get through it. So yeah, that's what I'm reading, the Adventure Time art book, and I'm super excited to finish it.
That's awesome. Can you give us an update on when the next pickled comic might come out?
I gotta think of something funny. that's I got like 3 like half completed comics in the folder. I thought of one the other day that's like sketched out. It's just one of those like love-hate relationships when it comes to your work. You're just like, oh, it's like half finished. Is it worth finishing? So it's a fun project, but it's like my mistress.
It is. Like you put out some really good stuff, and that's really awesome. This week, you've heard of the game Exploding Kittens. I've probably pushed it on you like 8 times this week.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
It's a card game that people made on Kickstarter, and it's illustrated by the Oatmeal. Mm-hmm. And I liken your work to his. I think yours is just on par with his. Like,
yeah,
to be frank.
He basically inspired me to create Pickled Comics because I read an article where he's just like he makes like $100,000 a year just on like Google AdSense, which is just like astronomical because this dude gets like millions and millions of clicks every month. I think even in like 2013 he got like 1 billion views of his website. So he's like a freaking webcomic powerhouse. So
and I think your work's just as good as his to compliment you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I know. I'm gonna butter you up like bread. But like card games, like I was in the first hour. I was one of the first people to get it, and they've since made almost. I think they almost have 100,000 backers.
Oh yeah, it's like $3 million now, I think.
Yeah, it's made so much money, and I can't wait to get my deck in July. But I was thinking about that this weekend. When's our next Pickled comic? Because I really like reading your stuff. So if you haven't read Pickled Comics, which has been featured by Will Wheaton, even he shared it.
Oh yeah, he got me a reblog. That was nice of him.
He did, and that was a lot of traffic for a while. So go check out Mike'sPickledComics.com.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Oh.
I think that's a perfect way to end the show, talking about my work.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to check me out, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Mike Royer Design. You can go to Pickled Comics, check out some comics and stuff. And then of course, you want to check out Chris. Where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me at Valdan, VALDAN on Twitter. You can read my stuff on comicui.com. You can also check out nerdtraffic.com for another slice of Chris. Because, one place isn't enough. Why not go to 3 or 4?
Exactly. I can't get enough of you, man.
Oh, it's a problem. Honestly, it's a problem. So yeah, that's where you can find me at this week, and the superheroslate.com.
Oh yeah, don't forget to go to superheroslate.com. That's where you can find all of our shows. You can get show notes. You can get a link to the guy who made our intro there. You can get all the links to our Facebook page, our YouTube page. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe on iTunes. We got our RSS feed link up there. Basically, any way you want to listen to us, we're ready.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to ask nicely, just a couple times, if you're on iTunes, leave us a rating. We just want to know how we're doing.
Yeah, it's super helpful.
Yeah, definitely let us know how we're doing. And we take it to heart. so don't hurt our feelings.
Yeah, you know what? We did pretty well. We did pretty well for a slow news week. For this length, we didn't have to worry about talking about just what's itching on our bodies.
Yeah. I what color underwear am I wearing? We can play that game.
That's what I want to end the show on. Just the question up in the air. Everyone's gonna wonder what color underwear you got on.
All right. Well, it sounds good. Let's end it there.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week and play that new outro, Chris.
Outro.
See ya.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.